Hi guys, it's Craig here again. Welcome back to another homebrew video. I wasn't planning on doing this video tonight at all. As a matter of fact, I wasn't even planning on doing this brew, but I got this crazy idea and I thought I would share it with you guys. I was trying to make a porter, an English porter beer. But I wanted to do it an easy way, homebrewing the easy way, easy homebrewing, So this is an experiment that I'm going to do, and I thought I'd cam up and bring you guys along for the ride, okay? So here's what I've got. Now I did some research online, and I did some research on porters and, a little bit of just poking around, and I think I put something together that might actually work. It might work. We're going to find out when we taste the beer, of course. All right, so here's what I've got. Now this is an easy homebrewing video, so we're going to do this in less than 2 hours, guaranteed, okay? Now, it all starts with this. It's a Cooper's English Bitter. Now the thing about this is it's already hopped. It's already got the bittering hops and whatever aroma hops are in there too. So I just saved myself an hour or more, probably an hour and a half, because you got to heat up the water, you got to do a boil. So now I don't have to do that, okay? So that's done for me. We're going to start with that. We're also going to add a second can of just plain malt extract. So 2 cans. This one's pre-hopped. This one's just plain malt extract. This is a light malt extract. Okay. Now, in addition to those, we also have 1 pound of dry malt extract. Okay. So this recipe that I'm doing today doesn't have any dextrose at all in it. It's an all malt beer. These cans are fresh. Okay. So there's no problem with the dates. And of course, dry malt extract lasts for a long time. So we got a nice all malt beer right there. Now, what's going to make it into a porter? Well, it might not be authentic, it might just be something I'm just dreaming up, but let's just see. I've got a pound of Crystal 60 here. I'm going to grind this up downstairs in my mill. 1 pound of Crystal 60. And I dug up some stuff I had lying around. Got a whole bunch of chocolate malt here. Obviously, I'm not going to throw all this in, but it's looking like I'm going to be putting in about 200 grams. Because I looked up some recipes about porters, and that's what they were putting in. And I got some Fuggles here. Fuggles Hops I happen to have in the freezer. It was sent to me. And we're going to throw these in for a 10-minute boil. I'll show you how I do all this, put it all together. And that's what we're doing. Okay, tonight, that's what I've got. That's what we're doing. Let's get brewing. Okay, so I ground up all my grains. The first thing I'm going to do is steep these at 160. Now the thing I didn't mention in the last part was the yeast I was going to use, which I've decided on a Windsor English style yeast, because this is a kind of an English beer. So I took the Cooper's yeast out and I put it in my fridge for another brew. So that's what I'm using. And let's get these grains into the pot. I'm going to let the whole bag go in, so I want them to spread out as much as possible. Okay, so obviously adding the grains made the temperature go down a little bit. So I'm going to put some heat on, and I'm going to just protect the grain bag by moving it around and lifting it off the bottom while I get the temperature back up to 160. In the meantime, I gotta wait 30 minutes for that to steep. I'm keeping my eye on the temperature to make sure it stays at 160, and that allows me to, drink some beer. Okay, these things have been steeping for 40 minutes actually, which is probably longer than they need to be steeping for. Let's get them out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a strainer here. I'm just going to try to get these out with a spoon here. And just put them in here. Let them drain off like that. And at the same time, I'm going to put the heat on high and bring this to a boil. Okay, so we removed the grains. Going to boil this up. All right, so now this has come to a boil. As you can see, I'm going to add my Fuggles hops. This is 1 ounce straight in. And I'm also going to add a worlflock tab. This is for clearing. And this is going to boil for 10 minutes. And with the heat turned down, I'm also going to add my can of liquid malt extract, which I heated a little bit, but it's still pretty thick. Stir that around. And we'll wash that can out in just a moment. There you go. Turn the heat back up. Bring this back up to the boil. I'm going to add 5 minutes to the boil for the hops, just because we sort of lowered the temperature, and this is just something I'm doing off the cuff. Well, I'm not going to stir it just now. I'm going to leave that down on top there. Put my foil back on. And let that sit for about 15 minutes. Meanwhile, my boil is finished. Okay, so I've turned the heat off, and I'm going to add the dry malt extract now. Maybe give that a good stir. Get rid of all the lumps. I'm never going to get this cooled down with cold water when I top it up into my fermenter, so I have to cool this down. If you don't have one of these, you should get one. They're a little expensive, but they're well worth it. Or you can use an ice bath in the sink. All right, I'm going to add my cooled, it's not really that cool, it's actually still warm, wort mixture here to my fermenter. There we are. And now I'm going to add my can of Cooper's English Bitter. And I think I've done this quite backwards actually, but I blame it on the fact that I'm filming this. It would have been better for me to add this can of Cooper's while this stuff was still hot. Probably not the best time for me to do it. I'm just going to dump that in there. It's very thick. I even forgot to heat it. The Cooper's kit doesn't have to be boiled, it's just it would have been easier to dissolve if I had hot stuff here. I'll talk about this at the end of the video. Well, unfortunately, at the end of that, the making of that video, my battery died on my camera, so you didn't get to see me topping it up with cold water and adding the yeast, but that's pretty much, you know that's what happens, and we covered it with the airlock on, and the rest is history. The good news is that we've got one here. We're going to try it right now. There's a few things I would have done differently, a slightly different order, or maybe yeah, a couple of small things that if I do this recipe again, I will rectify a few little problems. But for the most part, it'll be the exact same recipe. I probably would have added the Cooper's beer kit a little sooner when the wort was still hot. Easier to mix in that way, but it all worked out fine. And I guess we're going to find out now what we've got. I'm hoping for a porter style beer. A porter is a little lighter color than a stout.
It is not completely black like a stout. I don't know if you're going to see that. This is a really bright flashlight. Let me see. Yeah, you might see that. But the beer bottle's getting in the way too, so we'll wait till we pour it. So I am hoping for a porter style. Well, let's give this a whirl. See what we've got. All right. Whoa. Smoke. This stuff makes me cough. Whoa. Okay, let's get it in the glass right now, quick. Whoops. Okay, there we are. Oh, it's dripping all over me. Okay. Oh, well. Can you see this? I don't even know if I've got it on camera. I've got all flustered here from that. Look at that. Wow. That's not a bad looking freaking beer, is that? Look at the style of head that's got. A nice velvety. Hopefully that sticks around for a while. It's got a slightly brown beige color to the head. As far as the color goes, let's see what we've got. Do we have? Yeah, I think we've achieved a little bit of sediment is what we've achieved from the opening of the bottle, so you can't see through it. Or maybe it's just not clear. But anyways, so it's not a dark beer, but it's a dark beer. So it looks like a porter. You can Wikipedia porter versus stout and get the whole information about what the differences are between these and the story behind them. Yeah, I'm getting a real chocolatey kind of an aroma, and the hops, I can smell that sort of faint Fuggles hop smell. It's not a very fruity smell. Well, guys, I hope this works out, and if it does, I hope you try this recipe. Cheers. Let's give this a whirl. That's actually quite good. Okay, let me go back and it just rings of chocolatey, deep, dark. There's no off flavors at all. It's nicely carbonated. It's fairly, actually medium to high carbonation, but that's just what you do when you bottle it. Because I just came up with this idea off the cuff, I'm actually really surprised. Not only surprised, but very, very pleased. I will be very proud to send one of these to Jake. I promised Jake and Dar I would send him one, a beer soon, and this is the one. Okay. I have a challenge. I can't describe this any more than to say that it's an excellent chocolate stout. It reminds me of a Young's Double Chocolate. I don't have one here to put side by side with it, but I present a challenge for you guys. I present a challenge for you to do this exactly the way I did it, minus any goof ups that I might have done. Use the same recipe, the same boil times, everything exactly the same, and you tell me that this is not a really nice dark porter or stout style beer, because I am extremely impressed with that. I will make this again. I absolutely will make this part of my normal brewing roster, and I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change absolutely not one thing. It's not even written down. It was like, just throw it together and see what happens. And for an attempt like that, and not even, I mean, this is good enough. that I want you guys to try making this recipe. I want you all grain guys, you extract guys, and you new brewers, you new guys who are just doing the kits, you know what? Get yourself the ingredients with this. Get yourself the grains if you can, and the hops and the exact yeast that I use. You've got to use the same yeast. Everything has to be exact, because otherwise I don't know how it's going to turn out if you change something. All I know is what I've got here I'm extremely proud of. Just forget about the 5-hour thing just for once. The 5-hour, all grain thing, just for once. Get the recipe for this and do it exactly the way I did it. You guys know how to brew. This should be a fun thing. Actually, Hokey Home Brewer was actually talking about it. Coincidentally enough, he was talking about us trying each other's recipes. Well, here's mine. Okay, that's the one I want you guys to do. It's only going to take you a couple hours if you can get all the ingredients. Well, thanks a lot for watching. I'm glad you stuck around. And, happy brewing. Cheers.